Good morning. This is Bill from Auto House of Naples on it's not a very nice Florida Tuesday. I really have to be honest. It is muggy. It is muggy and nasty out here. I mean, it just is dreadful. August is probably the worst month to be in Naples. It really, I mean, July is bad enough, but August just makes it worse. I mean, the humidity in the air is palpable. You could cut it with a knife. It's horrendous. To me, this is the weather equivalent of Buffalo at 40 below. In the winter time. It's just a time when you don't go outside. And here I am outside, which absolutely sucks. Birds, there's a few around. I heard a woodpecker earlier. They give me the creeps. God knows what they could do to your head if they landed on you. We're keeping an eye peeled. Again, in this location, there's just way too much cover for them. Way too much. I can't keep an eye on them. I don't know what they're up to. I find it all a little bit terrifying. Not to mention the roosters, the chickens in the back. Who knows if they can escape from their pen, get out and peck me to death. I've seen it on YouTube. They do kill people, so you have to be very careful of those things. Little update, this channel, don't even think it's going away, still going strong, still putting cars up. Eventually I'll figure out how to change the damn name and move the channel from Auto Europa Service, where it's owned, to my own channel in the future. So at some point we'll get that done. What I need is one of those little purple-haired snowflakes to do it. I mean, obviously I'm too old, I just can't. I mean, if it was an Atari 2600, I could probably figure it out. This modern stuff it's just too much for me. I want to go back to a flip phone. Anyway, what else? We had a little race weekend at Daytona. It didn't go well in a variety of ways. Number one, it was a tropical storm memorial. That weirdly named tropical storm was heading right for Daytona, which prompted them to cancel the races on Sunday and condense the racing on Saturday. That was kind of a pisser because, it's less racing. And on top of that, the thing kind of petered out, so we obviously could have gone on Sunday if people had been a little more optimistic about how the weather would go. But either way, it wouldn't have worked for me because the car had a stupid mechanical problem that I just couldn't get past. A really stupid problem. It would stall, the engine would cut out right in turn 5. And only in turn 5. I mean, how the hell do you replicate that to try and diagnose the problem later? It just doesn't seem possible. So I'm going to be fighting that for a while, and, hopefully we can make it work. But all in all, the race weekend was a dud. That said, I got drunk. I went up to Daytona, which is full of disgusting, fantastic diversions like, massage parlors and strip clubs and other great things. Although most of my team petered out. They just absolute wimps. They really didn't go. I had to latch on to other people when I was up there because the entire Goon Platoon race team just had other things to do. Pathetic. Some people are obviously race car drivers and some people aren't. I was looking at Peter's statue here, and I think it's time we get her wet again. I think it's sad that she's just sitting there dry as a bone, no water cascading, no sound of trickling water. It really couldn't take that much to get the thing working again, so we're going to have to get on him about that. I think it's just unacceptable that that's not wet. And that's going to lead us into this. Finally, speaking of things that get you wet, this is a 2002 Jaguar XK8 convertible. You know what? Here's the problem with this car. It's gorgeous and I love it. And I don't want to because it's so cliched. The British racing green Jaguar with its swooping, feminine, muscular curves and its 2 seats and its retarded, ridiculous rear seats and, the top that should fold under a tonneau cover but doesn't, and, the headlights with the clear covers over them. I just hate that I'm a sucker for this car, and I am. And I think we're more suckers for this car in America than even the British are. We get into this thing. It's got Union Jacks on the floor mats. I don't think that's something that would ever happen in England. Maybe some English viewers could correct me on that, but I just don't see it happening. It's much more of an American thing. And I'm a victim to it. When I look at this car with the British racing green paint, the biscuit Connolly hides inside, the swooping curves that were reminiscent of the E-Type. Oh man, does it just get my heart pumping. And, I've done many of these cars. We could go back. We could get into the William Lyons and William Walmsley sidecar, Swallow Sidecar Company, 1922, which became the SS Car Company pre-war. And obviously that name, went south in England after the war. So they had to buy the name Jaguar from an aircraft company, and it became Jaguar. And it was led by Sir William Lyons. Walmsley had long since departed. And Lyons was so, I don't know how you'd put it. I mean, he made Enzo Ferrari look detached from his company the way that he oversaw just about every facet of production. I mean, he designed cars, he worked on them in his driveway, he had neighborhood kids sitting on a fence watching him. He was a dedicated cat. And at a certain point, he got a guy named Malcolm Sayer, who was an aerodynamicist, an aircraft designer in World War II, and frankly was probably batshit crazy, but an absolute genius. A genius, and he designed the E-Type. Speaking of Enzo, a car that Enzo Ferrari said was the most beautiful ever produced. That's pretty high praise from that guy. And he died pretty early in 1970 during the production of the E-Type. He passed away, or we probably would have gotten some more great stuff out of him. But Lyons continued, even as Jaguar went south economically. They went bankrupt. They got bought by other companies. They became British Leyland, part of a big, ridiculous thing that didn't help them at all. They went into receivership in the 80s. They operated under the government for a little while. And then finally, in the late 80s, 89, Ford Motor Company bought them when America was running around buying up European brands. Ford bought Volvo and Jaguar. General Motors bought Saab. I know we got the better end of that deal, as much as I love Saabs. But anyway, so Ford bought Jaguar, and a lot of guys were absolutely terrified about what they would do. They pictured that 80s Thunderbird with Jaguar badges on it running around, and there was a lot of naysaying and negativity. Well, thank God that didn't hold true. Ford ran Jaguar with a very deft touch, and they brought in a guy named Jeff Lawson as a designer who really revamped the entire company in terms of their design. And Jaguar, under Ford's tutelage, who never made a penny on Jag, by the way. Ford never made shit on Jaguar. Doesn't matter. They really helped it out. They modernized it, and they brought it to where it is today. And that is, a car company that was essentially part of a cottage industry became a car company that could compete with the world's best. And this car, did go on to compete with Mercedes at the time, and did so pretty well. It was certainly with a lot more charm and warmth, but we'll get into that. So anyway, the XK8s came out in 97. It was a bit of a sea change for Jaguar. It had an all-new engine called the AJ V8. It was the first V8 Jaguar had made from a blank sheet of paper in many, many, many years. And I think only the fourth clean sheet of paper engine Jaguar had ever built. It had 290 horsepower. It was all aluminum, double overhead cam, variable valve timing, the phasing on it. I mean, just a terrific engine. And that engine helped carry Jaguar through the early 2000s in a way that helped to make them profitable today. And I think now they're Indian-owned, maybe a revenge for colonialism, but who knows. Anyway, let's get into this one. So I bought this thing yesterday. That's how clean it was. Our new detailer, it turns out, is not really much better than the old detailer. In fact, in some ways, he's worse. But I love Jimmy. I hired him myself at Auto House over 10 years ago, and he's still there. Great guy. But goddamn, are we going to have to beat on him a little bit. As to Dalton, the detailer, we'll see. He told me he had some money saved up. He's got like 2 weeks before he has to get a job, so he's taking it easy. He doesn't know if he wants to work again for a while. And frankly, I don't blame him. A guy with his skills probably should take him off for a little bit. Anyway, let's get in the trunk. So to do that, you press this angry-looking cat button between the Jaguar, and up it comes. Here you have a little bit of a nice thing over the competition. Mercedes was a folding hardtop SL at this point in '02. At least it was just coming out. And it did not have the same ease of trunk space that this Jag had. You could very quickly and easily throw golf clubs in the back of here, crate to hand grenades, weapons, you know, children, toddlers, whatever it is you want to throw in the back was pretty easy in this car. And that is one of the benefits of having this vintage style soft top that doesn't fold under a tonneau cover. So, you know, not only does it give sort of a hearkening to Jaguar's roots, but it also gives you trunk space. I'm not going to lift this up, but underneath here is a full-size spare tire. It's like a Chinese finger trap. Once you lift it up, it's really hard to get back into place with one hand. So, but trust me, there's a nice spare tire under there. I've also got my bag of crap because now I'm doing videos on location again, and I do have some of the coronavirus whiskey in here. You see old number 7 with a little bit of rum for Jimmy. Hopefully that helps him get his detailing together. So anyway, there it is. Everything nice in the trunk. You get, you know, properly finished but not overdone, and you get a CD changer as well. You also get this great little leather pull handle to bring it down. Have a look under the hood. There are those Union Jacks I was talking about. I mean, it's a little bit ridiculous. I do like the reverse opening hood. I think that's great. A little bit of a hearkening to the E-Type, even if that was half the front fenders as well. There it is, the AJ-V8. You see those tuned intake runners, the twin overhead cams, VVT technology. Just a terrific, terrific engine. 290 horsepower is pretty damn good in 02. And then if you got the supercharged version, it added another 100 or more. So that was pretty sweet as well. But a nice, simple, strong V8, plenty of torque, made it to a ZF 5-speed that shifts perfectly. You can see from the way these bushings are intact and nice that this car has been very well serviced for as low 35,000 miles. And everything's nice and mint under there. But a terrific engine from Jaguar. And it was all Jag. They built this thing. This wasn't some rebadged Ford V8. Jaguar did conceptualize this engine, design it, and put it into production under Ford's tutelage. And it really is an engine that helped save Jaguar, bring them some from freakish, you know, cottage industry company with bad electronics into a much nicer, you know, proper company with bad electronics. Oh, I'm kidding. The electronics are pretty good. They're all Bosch in this car, and Ford, and not Lucas at all, which is part of what harmed the car in the first place. I always say that Mercedes benefits unfairly from past reputation in the very same way that Jaguar gets hurt unfairly from a past reputation. These cars are a lot better than the stuff Jaguar was building in the 80s and early 90s. Oh, that was too hard. See, we've got our little cover here. And in fact, I'm going to get this off before we get in the car. That way I can put the top up before we go for a spin and show you that. So all very vintage. You get these great little pull tabs. They could have been off an E-Type. A little bit of a, everything's hard one-handed. There we go. This still has these little things in there that catch under the trunk. Most of those go missing in these cars. Anyway, we'll put that in there and close the top. Close the boot. Any American who uses the word boot or bonnet should be put to death. I'm going to tell you that right now. Don't do it. That is a British thing. Just because you buy a Jaguar doesn't give you a license to use words like that. Alright, so let's fire it up. I'm going to back up a little bit too to get out of the weird sunlight. Of course, there's the wipers because I'm a retard. Alright. Let's back it up. So, you know, again, this is a Jag. This is from an era where they did, oh, for the love of God, want to hearken to their earlier cars and their earlier glory. So everything is swathed in beautiful Connolly leather and rich burl wood. Looks absolutely fantastic. Really does. I don't care. Honestly, I don't care if it's good to use or any of that. It's gorgeous, and you know, I think it's just terrific. You see the 3 big gauges in front of you. You have the tack. You have your 170 mile an hour speedo. Not sure how optimistic that is. You got your fuel gauge, your water temp. This could have had the GPS in the dash in '02. Thank God it didn't. That's a little screen that goes in here. It's crappy. It's like having Pac-Man in your dash, and it's much better to have these 3 elegant gauges. You get your oil pressure, your prerequisite luxury analog clock, and your voltmeter. All very nice stuff. You also get AC, which we're going to have a little bit of right now because it's ridiculously humid and hot. Ridiculous. The switchgear, all redone by Ford. Not bad, but, okay, if I'm going to be a little bit picky, it's kind of hard to see and discern. You can turn off your traction control if you want to try and light up the rear tires. With the double wishbone up front, the control arms in the back, or the, I don't know. It's probably going to hook up very well, so I don't know how much of the wheel spin you're going to get. You got a heated seat, front and rear fog lights. Up there, of course, are all your climate controls. You've got an Alpine in-dash cassette, which works out great because you could use that as an iPhone connector. You put a cassette thing in, the cord comes out, plugs in your iPhone. You can keep the factory stereo and still listen to phone music. It does have a CD changer, so that'll work. And let's see what we got on the radio today.
Down payment.
Commercials, car commercials, obviously. Here you've got this sort of bizarre little place to put stuff. I really don't know what goes in there. I mean, obviously you're not fitting a weapon of any kind in there. Your phone isn't going to fit because it's inexplicably ridged. You've got these little slots here, I guess you could put coins in. Here's your roof button. Here's a famous Jaguar J-shifter, J-gate they call it, if you want to bang your way through your own gears, which nobody does. You've got more beautiful wood all around. You've got your cruise control on off. These are counterintuitive. They're on when they're up and they're off when you push them in. No idea why Jaguar or Ford would do that, but that's how it is. The S is sort of a sport button light. It will change the shift points on the transmission. You push it in, it's off. You put it on, the red light lights up. It's going to kick down a little bit quicker and hold the gear a little bit longer. Alert the Catholic Church. These things are still working. They may want to send a miracle team out. This is the first crap to break in almost every Jaguar XK8. That delicate little ashtray cover and this set of cup holders here that again are just designed to become explosive and break, but they work on this one. You also get a little place to put stuff in there. I don't know if you could fit a Walther PPK in there, but maybe. Glove box, you got a set of books, very nice stuff. And here is the original window sticker, which is nice to see. I love it when people save those. And here you can see they're not screwing around on this one. The exterior color is very much British racing green on this car. We've got cashmere, came in Brunswick, out of Coventry. Obviously people were drinking coffee while buying Jaguars and they weren't being very careful about it. But there it is, 75 grand for this thing. Cheaper than the SL 500 at the time. But it offered something. The Mercedes SL, it's an incredible car. It uses more tech than the Jaguar does for sure, even if it uses less wood and leather. It's not nearly as receptive and warm as this car. I mean, it's sterile. It's German humorless luxury, that sort of has no sense of humor. It's scowling at you at best. It's, stone-faced at best. Sorry, scowling at worst. It just doesn't have the same kind of love that the Jaguar has, the same warmth, the same feel, and nobody's going to put German flag floor mats in. Well, maybe they will. I don't know what people do anymore, but I think that would be creepy as hell. The rich aroma of the leather seats in this car, the lovely expanses of burl wood, it just is true Jaguar loveliness and has a warmth and a charm and a grace that you don't get in German cars. Here is a self-dimming mirror. You've got your home link. You got part of this Alpine upgraded premium sound system. Yeah, all very nice stuff. If you want to run the roof, we're going to press this guy forward. Let's see what happens. Absolutely nothing. Why is that? Oh, there it comes. All right, so up comes the roof. This little hook lifts up to pull it down. All fully automatic. Pulls it down. Up come the rear windows. Nice stuff. And let's see if it runs the front up if I keep on the switch. It does not. So irritatingly, I have to go over to the door panel and run up the 2 front windows. Give you a quick look outside the car with that. We'll go for a spin. Okay, so there you see it has a matching beige soft top. Very, very pretty. Never been a big fan of beige soft tops because I think they show wear and dirt more than black ones do. But goddamn, do they look nice when they're clean. You do get a glass rear window with defrost. Lovely. Like the chrome surrounds on the taillights and the chrome trim on the top of the license plate area. You got some nice twice pipes down there. What can I tell you? It's just a very handsome car. My glasses are fogging up. Oh, God. All right, let's get back in this thing. God, for air conditioning. I don't care if it's making wind noise. I really don't. I really don't. I couldn't run the air conditioning here this morning because it fogs up the windows, so I'm sure as hell going to run it now. All right, seatbelt on, drive. We've got our sport on. I'm going to turn traction off just for shits and giggles. There you see just 35,000 miles on the clock of this thing. More wood and leather on the steering wheel. A little bit weird, the way, right where I want to put my hands at the 10 and 2, you see the bumpies there. There's a transition from wood to leather. And I don't know, you know, I think that could have been designed a little bit better. I don't like feeling the transition, but... Yeah, look at that. That palm tree frond that fell the other day was obviously not an anomaly. Like coconuts, these real palms here will apparently kill you. Hopefully a bird was sitting on one of those branches when it fell. Can only hope. Oh, God, there. Now I've run over one of the fronds. I'll wait for the gates to open. Maybe we have music by now, let's say. God, I don't know. You know, I'm not a Bob Seger fan. I'm sure it was great in that Risky Business movie with the, you know, who's the U-boat commander, the 928 and all that. But sometimes, I don't know, Bob, you give me a pain in my ass. All right, let's go for a spin. Again, this is Peter's neighborhood, so I don't exactly want to do my, you know, hooligan driving the way I do most of the time. We'll wait till we get out onto the road for that, but I'll give you a report in the meantime. A much stiffer ride than you would expect from a Jaguar, much more sporting. You actually feel the bumps in the road. The steering is pretty well connected to you. You know, the brake feel is pretty damn good. I don't know if the old guys really love this, you know, when it, I mean, I guess they did because they bought the damn things. In fact, the buyer for this car tended to have a two-person household with 4 cars and write a check for it, so obviously they did buy it, but it's a lot sportier than I would have imagined. It reminds me of people, they, you know, nice old couple went into the Mercedes dealer, said, give me the best Mercedes you got. They ended up selling him an AMG GT, and I think it was like the R model. We sold that at Auto Europa a while back. They live in this real fancy neighborhood with cobblestone streets. When they drove the thing home, it was like they were in a Le Mans car on cobblestone streets. This 80-year-old guy, you know, he had to get rid of the car within a month. He absolutely couldn't take it. It jarred his spine. You know, this is nothing like that, but you certainly get a lot more, you know, bumpy, sporty road travel than you would expect in a car that's not really designed to be a true sports car. I mean, it is a 4-seat car, even if the back seats are, what do we say, for thalidomide babies, or just maybe just for philosophical discussion about what they're for. But, you know, even being a sports car, a British Camaro or British Corvette, whatever you want to call it, it should be a little bit softer on the tush than this is. It really surprises me, and you know, kudos to Jaguar for that. It definitely feels pretty sporty for a guy like me. Morning traffic sucks. Everything sucks these days. You know, the virus still in the media, you hear it spiraling out of control. I don't know anyone who's died yet. I read about Herman Cain. He seemed like a nice guy. It was sad to see him go, but something probably would have got him. Nobody else I know, but I'm sure it's still out there, and I still don't want it. You know, like, I'm not one of these guys who thinks it's a hoax. I know it's out there, and I know it's real, but I don't worry about it up until somebody coughs at me near a Walmart or something. Listen to that big V8 sound out of this car. That really helped sell these things and move them into a different level. Jaguar had been all about 6s and weird 12s for a long time, and the V8 was a very welcome upgrade. There's our kickdown. I did do a little video driving home last night on the interstate. I'll snippet it in at the end. The car drove really nice up to 90, 95 miles an hour. And you know, there it is. I mean, I've got beautiful, stable steering. I've got nice brake feel. I've got very little wind noise for an 18-year-old soft-top convertible because obviously the car was very well made. And I'll say this car is a tremendous bargain. Jaguar XKs are. This thing, 35,000 mile, 02, immaculate Carfax, immaculate condition, service records, well kept. It's half, maybe half of what an 02 SL 500 would be with the same statistics, even though frankly I think in some ways it's a better car, and I think Jaguar just doesn't deserve that kind of depreciation. So a clever guy could get this car or one like it, you know, truly the cream of the XK crop, for money that's just silly. And it's a car that harkens to the E-Type. It's a car that did have, you know, the last of Jeff Lawson involved with it. And it's a beautiful, beautiful piece. Well made, Ford electronics, great engine, undeniably great engine. It's really and truly a collectible luxury car bargain. And, you know, a guy with something, you know, nice big garage somewhere, he'd want to think about putting something like this in it. Why the hell not? And if you're going to do it, why not British Racing Green, really? Even if it is a bit cliched. So anyway, there it is. I really appreciate you guys having a look. I'm going to make my way into work. I might even have some more whiskey this morning, because why not? One of those days. It'll cut through the sweltering humidity, and we look forward to cooler weather to come. But anyway, this channel's still going. Don't you dare think it's going away. It's not. We'll figure out a way to transfer the name to another, you know, what have you, and make it all work as time goes on. And we'll keep moving forward. So appreciate you having a look today, and we'll see you with the next one. Take care. Well, I tell you what, I'll give you one more hammer down here as I make this turn. Hopefully there's no cops around. Listen to that. It's a sporting Jaguar. Nice stuff. Take care. See you later. Interstate. Nice.